For nearly 5,000 years, Egypt's Great Pyramid has been shaken by earthquakes, powerful enough to flatten entire cities, and it has barely taken a scratch. Scientists have been asking how that's even possible, and now, one mystery of the Great Pyramid's longevity has finally been solved. Today, we're digging into what researchers just discovered, how they managed to study a monument this old without damaging it, and why the real answer is honestly more impressive than any conspiracy theory you've heard. If you're getting value from this, drop a like. It helps more people find this. And let's dive into it right now. So first, let's set the stage, because the scale of this mystery is easy to underestimate. The Great Pyramid was built around 4,600 years ago as the tomb of the pharaoh Khufu. It's made of roughly 2.3 million stone blocks. It took more than 2 decades to construct, and it's the last of the ancient 7 wonders of the world that's still standing. Every other wonder on that list is gone, and this one is still here. Now here's the part most people don't think about. Egypt isn't exactly famous for earthquakes, but it does get hit with strong ones every so often. There was a magnitude 6.8 quake back in the mid-1800s and a magnitude 5.9 in the early 1990s. Either of those could seriously damage modern buildings, and yet the Great Pyramid came through with only minimal damage. For a long time, nobody could fully explain why. That's where this new study comes in. A team led by geophysicist Mohammed El Gabri from Egypt's National Research Institute of Astronomy and Geophysics in Cairo published their findings in the journal Scientific Reports, and their method is almost as clever as the result. Here's the problem they had to solve. You obviously can't shake a priceless ancient monument on purpose to see how it responds, because that could damage the very thing you're trying to protect. So instead, the team placed sensors at 37 different points inside and around the pyramid, and then they simply listened. Distant ocean waves, passing traffic, and everyday human activity all create tiny vibrations that travel through the ground and through the pyramid itself. Those tiny disturbances were enough to reveal how the whole structure behaves. And what they found is the first big piece of the puzzle. At about 3 out of every 4 measurement sites inside the pyramid, the structure naturally vibrated back and forth between 2 and 2.6 times per second. The soil around the pyramid, meanwhile, vibrated way slower, a little more than once every 2 seconds. That mismatch turns out to be everything. Here's why. When the ground shakes at the same natural frequency as the building sitting on it, you get something called resonance, where the building starts absorbing energy from the soil's vibrations, and the shaking gets dramatically stronger. Resonance is one of the biggest reasons buildings get damaged in earthquakes. You can think of it like pushing a kid on a swing. If you time your pushes to match the swing's rhythm, the kid goes higher and higher with barely any effort. But because the pyramid and the soil beneath it vibrate at different frequencies, the timing never lines up. The earthquake pushes, and the pyramid basically shrugs it off. And there's another detail hiding in that data. The pyramid's vibration frequencies fell within a really narrow range across the whole structure. And that tells researchers the stress inside the pyramid is spread out evenly instead of piling up in weak spots. Real quick, if you've made it this far, drop a comment below with the ancient structure you'd want scientists to study next. I read every comment, and the most requested ones might become future videos. Now, the frequency mismatch is only half the story, because the internal design of the pyramid is doing serious work too. Above the king's chamber, the room where Khufu was entombed, ancient Egyptian builders stacked a series of pressure-relieving chambers. Their known job was to distribute the massive weight of the stone above and protect the burial chamber if anything ever collapsed. But this study found those chambers are pulling double duty because they also weaken the vibrations closer to the top of the pyramid. Here's the comparison that makes it click. El Gabri explains that most buildings behave like upside-down pendulums. The base is anchored to the ground, but the top has room to sway, so shaking usually gets amplified as you go up. Inside the Great Pyramid, vibrations in the king's chamber, which sits well above the bedrock, near the center of the structure, were amplified by a factor of 4. But in the pressure-relieving chambers above it, the amplification dropped to a factor of 3. The shaking actually got weaker higher up, which is the opposite of what you'd normally expect. And honestly, researchers still aren't sure exactly which design feature causes that effect. Quick break. If you're fascinated by the mysteries of history, archaeology, and the science behind the world's greatest discoveries, subscribe to ConsciScience and join thousands of curious minds uncovering the truth, one mystery at a time. Every week, we dig into stories exactly like this one, and subscribing is the best way to make sure you never miss the next discovery. Now, here's the question that makes this whole discovery even more fascinating. Did the ancient Egyptians do this on purpose? Did they actually understand seismic engineering 4,600 years ago? The honest answer is that the researchers can't say. The study can't confirm whether earthquake resistance was an intentional design choice or an incredibly effective byproduct of building for weight and stability. El Gabri points out that the engineering looks amazing by today's standards, and it becomes even more impressive when you consider the tools and resources available back then. Sharif El-Tawil, a civil engineer at the University of Michigan who wasn't involved in the research, notes that the seismic resistance itself isn't shocking since the pyramids are obviously still standing, but this study finally explains why. And that why actually matters for the future. Modern engineers typically design buildings to last 100 years, or maybe 500 at the high end. The Great Pyramid has lasted nearly 5,000. El Gabri argues that if we want to build structures that endure on that kind of timescale, understanding how this one survived is the place to start. Modern builders can borrow these same strategies when they plan projects and choose materials, from mismatching frequencies with the surrounding soil to designing internal spaces that dampen shaking. A 4,600-year-old tomb might quietly be one of the best engineering textbooks on Earth. So the next time someone tells you the pyramids are an unsolvable mystery, you've got a real answer backed by real data, and it's more remarkable than the fiction. Thank you for watching. Subscribe for more videos from ConsciScience, and I will be back soon.